Hello guys, welcome to Cracking Cat ParaJumbles with Prady. This is your one-stop solution for all cat aspirant needs. May it be a quant, may it be a LRDI, may it be a VARC or any exam related information. You'd find it all at one place, Apex Cat Coaching channel. So subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with all your friends who find it very difficult to solve parajumbles, because today I'm going to tell it to you in such a way that you can solve any parajumble in cat. So before we go forward, what have I got for you in this video? Well, first things first, I understand that the major problem that cat students have is in understanding parajumbles and understanding what the concepts of parajumble are. So today we're going to do a complete revision of parajumbles in less than 5 minutes. And that's all. Those 5 minutes are enough to boost your score from 80 percentile to 95 plus percentile. So keep your pens and pencils handy, and after we do this concept revision, we're going to go into something slightly more serious. We're going to go and look at past year questions of 2017 actual CAT paper of both the slots, obviously. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time, maybe 1-2 minutes for you to solve, where you can just pause your video, solve it, and then we'll solve it together so you can become a pro just like I am. Alright, so let's go forward. Let's look at what are the concepts of parajumble right now. Okay, so what are parajumbles? Now, CAT examiners like parajumbles in a straightforward manner. In CAT exam, these come as theta questions. Okay, now theta questions are nothing but your type in the answer kind of questions. Okay, so they basically fill in the blanks. What happens is you get 4 to 5 sentences. Okay, and these 4 to 5 sentences are broken into parts. So let's say that this part, the starting part, is given as the last one, this is given as B, this is C, and this becomes A. Alright, now what you would have to do is take this in this particular order so that your coherent passage comes with DBCA. Okay, but what would they give you as? They would give it to you as A, B, C, and D. So this is one type of parajumbles. But when you're solving CAT parajumbles, it's essential for you to understand that it's not only for CAT that you're solving parajumbles. There are relatively much easier exams which also give you options when you solve parajumbles. Like you have the exam called as SNAP, yes, Symbiosis National Aptitude, and you have NMAT, right? So these two exams sometimes give you two different types of parajumbles. One could be the same type that we discussed right now. The other one is that they would fix an introduction and they would fix a conclusion. Okay, and once these two sentences are fixed, you have 4 other sentences for you to place in an order. Now, which is harder? Obviously, in my opinion, this is a harder choice, because over here you have 4 factorial ways in which you can place it if you have zero idea about what the clues are. Okay, which comes to roughly, oh, why roughly? This comes to exactly 24 ways, right? But when you look at the other end, right, when your intro is fixed and you have a fixed conclusion, FIFC type of parajumbles, here one small thing you need to do is fix one sentence to the introduction as a continuation and one sentence to the conclusion as a continuation. Then all you have left is fixing other sentences, which comes to 2 factorial, only 2 ways. Okay, so in today's class I'll discuss with you all the possible combinations that you can get, all the possible ways in which you can answer these parajumbles, so you are going to become an expert after this class. Alright, so first thing you need to know about parajumbles: how do I find the opening sentence? That's as simple as that. But this thing is easier said than done, especially for CAT parajumbles. Finding the opening sentence means you are able to find the starting of a story. And a lot of students that I have dealt with over the last 4-5 years as a trainer have found it kind of hard, okay, to come down, to narrow down between two sentences and tell which is the opening sentence. So as a rule of thumb, think about it like this. The opening sentence must be the most generic sentence. Okay, this should be the sentence that does not need, okay, and I repeat, it does not need any other sentence to explain it. Okay, if a sentence needs another sentence to explain it, it definitely is not the opening sentence. Okay, so with this in our mind, let's look at what are the rules for opening sentences again. First thing, it needs to be general or generic. Okay, second thing, it should be able to start the story. Okay, now one thing that helps for us to understand what starts the story is finding out about who is the hero of the story, or maybe if you want to call it, who is the heroine of the story. Alright, so what happens over here when you're trying to find the hero of the story? That's the big challenge. There'll be few sentences, and obviously you'll need to read all the sentences before you start the parajumble. There's no other way. When you read the sentences, there will be common words. Okay, there'll be a few common words which are repeated out of all these sentences. Most of the sentences are talking about something related to that common word. Okay, so see what are the most common words and try to make a sense of if this common word is what is being talked about again and again. If that is the word that's being talked about again and again, there's a lot of likelihood that that would be the hero of your story. So usually the generic sentence should be about the hero of the story, introducing how the hero of the story is related to the story. Alright guys? Okay. So the second thing over here is to identify nouns and pronouns. Now what exactly are nouns? In very basic English, we know nouns are nothing but names. Names of what? What are they classified as? How should we understand nouns? All that you can find here on our reel at Apex Vizag Instagram page, or you could alternatively search for our Grammar 101 video on Apex Vizag YouTube channel, where you'd find everything about nouns and pronouns. Now, having said that, what are pronouns? Pronouns are again words. These are words that you use to replace nouns. Okay, these are words that are used to replace nouns. But why should we replace nouns and all? Again, yeah, the one go-to source for you is the YouTube channel of Apex Vizag page. You'll find everything in one place over there. Okay, so what happens in parajumbles when we have nouns and pronouns? Obviously, think about it a little logically. I can only use a pronoun once I have a noun, right? If I want to replace someone, okay, let's just think about it like this. You are in a relationship and you want to replace that person with someone else. You want a new girlfriend. For getting a new girlfriend, you first need to have that old girlfriend, right? So over here also, these pronouns are going to replace nouns. So logically, in the four sentences when you're looking at it, try to find a noun, okay, and a pronoun that would be referring to that. These two will become one pair. These two will become a link. Okay, so always remember, nouns come before pronouns. Okay, this is a simple rule. Right. So the third part is to identify the articles. Now, again, what exactly are articles? Because as far as I checked last time, there are only 8 parts of speech and articles is not one of them, right? So which part of speech does article come under? Tell that to me in the comment section. Let me see how your prep is actually going around. But if you want to know more about these articles, go on to our YouTube channel. You'll get everything about articles in one place. Now, these articles majorly are classified into 2 groups. Okay? The first group are known as indefinite articles, and the second group of article is definite articles. Okay, what are these indefinite articles? it's used to refer common nouns. Okay, used to tell you something about a common noun. Okay, and definite article, exactly which noun that is. So these are nothing but a and an. Okay, so you can use it like a school, okay, an ice cream, right? And now once I know that an ice cream is being eaten, I can then go to the definite article, which is the, yes, and tell the ice cream flavor is nice. Okay, so only after you use an indefinite article are you logically using a definite article. So please make sure that whenever you're getting your 4 sentences in ParaJumbles, you're paying close attention to not only the articles, but which noun are those articles modifying. Only if both indefinite and definite articles are modifying the same noun, that means they're talking about the same noun, you can use them as a combination. Okay, I hope we're all clear so far. So let's just move forward. Now the next part is chronology. Chronology, this word chronology comes from 2 root words. Okay, chronos and logos. Okay, where logos is nothing but study of, and chronos comes from the Greek for time. So chronology is how does a particular event happen in an order of time. Okay, now when we are having ParaJumbles, usually you see something like okay, queen has done something, queen has arrived. Okay, queen is in a meeting. Okay, queen took off on the plane. All right, queen took off on plane, and maybe PM of India and queen scheduled a meeting. Obviously a cat ParaJumble would not be this easy. I'm just giving you this so that I can explain it to you. But clearly, if you look at this story, what is the thing that must have happened first in order of time? First, the meeting must have been scheduled. Then the queen must have been, getting onto a plane. Then we see that the queen has arrived. And then we can tell that the queen is in a meeting, right? Yes. So this way, chronology helps you build logical cues to which sentence can come before the other sentence. And you don't need to find chronology in all the 4 sentences. Even if you can find chronology in 2 sentences, that's more than enough. You can link them together and put them as a pair. So what happens when you link 2 sentences together and put them as a pair? See, when you had 4 blanks and you can randomly use all the permutations, you get 24 different ways, right? Now, if I can just remove 2 of them and make it as one block, and you can think that, this is one block, I have another block and another block. So this still comes down to only 6 ways. Yes, so you're reducing your effort 4 times. Now, if you can just figure out that one of this part is opening sentence or one of the part is closing sentence, it reduces further. Correct? So verbal ability is more of logic than purely English. We have to use our logic to some degree so that we get an edge over the others in our English. Okay, guys? So let's move forward. The next part is sequence and hierarchy. Now, sequence and hierarchy is usually not very closely asked in CAT, but one thing that might happen in other exams is lists. Okay, let's say that the protagonist of our story, the hero of our story, is interested in maths, physics and chemistry. Although there's no hero that's ever interested in maths, physics and chemistry, let's just say that he is. Okay, and in the next 3 sentences, they're talking about physics first, chemistry later and maths next. Although this is also correct, the most unambiguous manner, the most coherent manner to place these is in the same order as mentioned in the first line. Okay, so this is how sequences and hierarchy works. Another thing that you can look at when you're talking about sequence and hierarchy is something called as deductive logic. Deductive logic is also known as formal logic. Okay, now what is deductive logic? What's the philosophy of deductive logic? It's very simple here. It's very, very simple. Let's say that all humans will die. Okay, and then let's say that Ram is a human. So if Ram is a human, he's in this circle. Yes. So from these two things, I can definitely tell that yes, Ram will die. So I'm coming to this conclusion. Yes. How did I come to this conclusion? I took first something that is extremely general. Yes, I took something that's extremely general and then moved towards something that is very, very specific. Yes, what was my general statement? All humans will die. Correct? And then I came to the statement Ram will die. So do you see how from one statement we are going to the other statement? This is what you do in your parajumbles as well. So deductive logic works very simply when you are looking at your sequence and hierarchy. And if any one of you who's watching this video is named Ram, I'm really sorry. This is not specifically for you. But yeah, you get the point of it. Right? Okay. So let's go forward. The next one, the most important one, is identifying cause and effect. Now this is where the CAT examiners will play a cruel game with you. Only if you don't understand what is causation and what is correlation. Okay. Now usually two events which happen at the same time. Okay, happen at the same time are called as correlated events. Whereas two events wherein one event happens because of the other. Okay, one event happens because of the other is called as causal events. Okay, we need to see and check for causality and not correlativeness. Okay, when we are checking for causality, it's rather very simple. If I give you a very, very dumb example, I was walking on the street. Okay, I peeled a banana, threw it behind. Okay, obviously the peel, not the banana. I'll eat the banana. Someone stepped on the peel and they fell down. Now, this person who fell down, that accident was caused because of me throwing the banana peel. But don't worry, I'm not that irresponsible, but I'm just saying. Okay, so that accident was caused because of the banana peel. In another situation, let's say that I ate banana sitting here in my room at Vizag, and you fell down somewhere watching this video in Bhopal or Madurai or somewhere. That accident was not caused because of me. Those are just two correlated events. They are not causal events. Alright. So always look for causation and always place it as cause first, then followed by effect. Okay. So if I say that A happens because of B, then your order will be B and A. Okay. Are we clear? So this is a very, very important criteria for you to understand. Once you understand these rules, things will be very, very simple for you when you're solving parajumbles. Don't believe me? Do one thing. Fast forward this video 5 seconds and we'll enter into a CAT question together. Okay? Alright. Okay guys, so this is our first question from CAT 2017. Why don't you just pause your video for like 2 minutes, try to solve it. 2.5 minutes is a good time for a parajumble. More than that is not advisable because, well, you have 40 minutes total. Okay. I'm assuming that you're going to do 3 RCs. I'm not expecting that you do all the 4 RCs. Okay, because very clearly, according to last year's stats at least, if you do more than 13 questions correct, okay, and without doing anything else wrong, guys, you can get a 99 percentile. At least in my subject, in VARC. Alright, so I'm not gonna push you to do all the questions, all the 24 questions in CAT. That's absolutely not the goal. The goal is to be able to pick right questions, attempt them in the given time limit, so that you can maximize your score. Okay, so let's take 2 minutes, solve this, get back, and then we're gonna look at what the answer is. So pause your videos here, you take 2 minutes, and then we'll discuss the answer. Okay, so now what do we have over here in these sentences? He says the process of handing down implies not a passive transfer but some contestation in defining what exactly is to be handed down. So from here I can understand that, okay, something is being handed down. That means from one level to another level someone is giving something, but there are too many unknowns, right? So definitely this won't be my first statement. So I'll just put O and I'll rank these statements as what can be my opening statement, and this definitely won't be my opening statement. Okay, what about here? Wherever Western scholars have worked on the Indian past, the selection is even more apparent and the inventing of tradition much more recognizable. So now we have gotten two new buzzwords, that something is talking about invention and something is talking about tradition, and obviously Western scholars doing something on the Indian past. Alright, so again too many unknowns, so this also might not be my opening statement. What about here? Every generation selects what it requires from the past and makes its innovations some more than others. Okay, fair enough. So here he's talking about how generations are selecting what is required from the past. Okay, so again this relates to what is handing down. Okay, but clearly this is not going to be my opening sentence. Okay, now what is talked about over here? It's now a truism that to say that traditions are not handed down unchanged but are invented. Okay, so what's a truism? Truism is a true fact. Okay, something that's a moral philosophy that's accepted as true. So it's now a truism to say that traditions are not handed down but are not handed down unchanged. So here I can see that there's some kind of a change that's coming. Okay, I now see that in the process of handing down traditions. Remember, we've read about handing down somewhere, maybe in 1. Yes, so in this process things are changed. Okay, now here, just as life has death as its opposite, so is tradition by default the opposite of innovation. So now I can see that, okay, out of all of these, definitely 5 is more contestable to be my opening statement. Why so? Because here we are talking about two opposites. Here we are introducing life and death as opposites. Okay, and just to say what? To say that yes, tradition also has an opposite of innovation. Correct? So our opening statement should be 5. Now what's our next statement? We can see that once we have discussed about tradition and innovation in 5, yes, then we can go forward and introduce the concept of handing down altogether. Yeah, so now that we know tradition and innovation are opposites, we can say that yes, it's true to say that traditions are not handed down but they are invented. So the next logical part would be 5 and 4. Okay, obviously we saw before, right, that this handed down is being explained more. Okay, what is the process of handing down? That's been explained more in 1. So we can come to the next link as 5, 4 and 1. Now if you look at both these statements, 2 and 3, in 3 we see that every generation is selecting something, yes, And then in 2 we are seeing that there's a particular example that when Western scholars were doing that about the Indian past, they selected this. Okay, so definitely from the rule of general to specific, we can talk about 3 and then 2 as our answer. So the right answer should be 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. I hope all of us are clear about this. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay guys, so in the second question, okay, we have something that relates to scientists finding a cure for some kind of a disease. Okay, now obviously the disease is given, it's a cardiac disease called as cardiomyopathy, but let's not go into the details about that disease and all. Let's go back to how we solve it. Alright, the first step, read all the sentences and try to find the opening statement. Okay, what is the hero or who is the hero and what are we trying to do? Alright, so in the first statement he says scientists have for the first time managed to edit genes in human embryo to repair a genetic mutation, fueling hopes, that means rising, giving hopes that such procedures may one day be available outside laboratory conditions. Okay, so this they have done something. Okay, they have done something. Okay, to do what? To repair something. All right. Again, why am I not going into these words called genetic mutation and all? Because that's not really necessary. As long as we understand broadly what they're trying to do, we can make a sense of what the story is. Once we have made sense of the story, then we'd go into it in full fear. Okay, so fueling hopes that such procedure may be one day available outside the laboratory conditions. So it's showing some kind of a future prospect also, and we know that scientists have done it now. So it's a present thing. Okay, in results, okay, next one is the cardiac disease causes sudden death in otherwise healthy young athletes and affects about 1 in 500 people overall. So to be honest, our statement 1 is also general, statement 2 is also general, but over here this is specific about a cardiac disease, right? And this is more or less talking about the broad scope of genetic mutations. Alright, so what I can see is that statement 1 is more of an opening sentence than statement 2. Next, correcting the mutation in the gene would not only ensure that the child is healthy but also prevent transmissions to the future generations. This somewhat looks like a conclusion altogether. That okay, you have done what all you have to do, but not only now, later also nothing should happen. Okay, so this sounds more like a conclusion than the starting. Alright guys, agreed? So now let's go to 4. It is caused by a mutation. Very clearly guys, this is definitely not going to be the first statement. Why? What is that it? What are you even talking about? It's caused by a mutation in a particular gene and child will suffer from the condition. Which condition? You said the condition, bro. Which condition are you talking about? Right? Even if it inherits only one copy of the mutated gene. Right? So now we can understand after reading 4 sentences that okay, they're talking about some kind of a genetic mutation and all. Yes? And mutation about curing some kind of diseases. So definitely first sentence should be 1. Yes? All of us agree with that? Okay. Now let's move forward. Look at the last sentence here. In results announced in Nature this week, scientists fixed a mutation. So scientists fixed. This is in present tense. Comes here in the past tense. So this must have happened before this. So 1 must have happened before 5. Correct? So right there I can make a link as 1, 5. Okay? Next. What did they find? They fixed a mutation that thickens the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Yes, which relates to the heart obviously. So from here I can take a relation to my second statement. That this cardiac disease or the cardiac disease causes something. Okay. So he's just explaining the whole part about what is this hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, what is the significance of that hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So very clearly I can say that the next sentence would be 2. Okay. Now once I've understood that this cardiac disease is being referred to, what becomes easy? It will become easy for me to connect it to the pronoun it. Yes, it is caused by. That means that cardiac disease is caused by a mutation in a particular gene, right? So definitely I'll go and place 4 here. And obviously the last one, which seemed like a conclusion to us, is the actual conclusion. So the answer would be 1, 5, 2, 4 and 3. Okay guys? Right. So let's move on to the next question. Okay. So this is the third question of CAT 2017 ParaJumbles. Yeah. So what does he say? The study suggests. Okay. I'm going to stop reading there. Because when he said the study suggests, obviously what? Which study are you talking about? Bro, what is this? So definitely I can say that first one is not my opening sentence, but I'll read through. Obviously, the study suggests that the disease, again, the disease, yes, did not spread with such intensity, but that it, what is this it? That disease, right, may have driven human migrations across Europe and Asia. So people from Europe and Asia would have come out somewhere. The oldest sample came from an individual, okay, good sign, who lived in southeast Russia about 5,000 years ago. Cool. That is okay. That's nice. Okay. Next, the ages of the skeletons. Which skeletons are we talking about? Kisko maar diya bhai yahan pe? Okay. So the ages of the skeletons correspond to a time of mass exodus. Again, this word exodus tells me that it has some relation to migrations. Okay. Yeah. So yes, mass exodus from today's Russia and Ukraine into Western Europe and Central Asia, suggesting that a pandemic could have driven these migrations. Okay. So which migrations are these? Some migrations that we have talked about. Yes, those migrations can be because of this particular kind of a thing. Next, over here, in the analysis of fragments of DNA from 101 Bronze Age skeletons. So now we understand which skeletons, right? So in the analysis from 101 Bronze Age skeletons, okay, for sequences from Yersinia pestis, the bacterium that causes the disease, 7 tested positive. You know what? We can just block this big looking word so that we don't get confused, because it's not necessary. It's a name. As long as it's a name, we don't need to worry about that so much. Okay. So sequences from something, the bacteria that caused the disease. Again, here also we don't know which disease yet. Okay. Right. So obviously one thing that we understand is that the whole story is about some disease, and because of which people migrated. Correct? So the moment we understand it like that, things become simpler for us. So obviously the opening statement for us would be what? The opening statement for us would be 5. Yes. So DNA from Bronze Age human skeletons. So these kind of human skeletons indicate that the Black Plague, oh wow, this is the disease that we are talking about. Black Plague could have emerged as early as 3000 BCE, long before the epidemic swept through Europe in the mid 1300s. Okay, fine. And then what did we do? We analyzed. Okay, we analyzed the DNA fragments, the fragments of DNA from 101 bronze skeletons for sequence of something, and that something is nothing but the bacteria that caused the disease. One more thing, guys, that I would like to tell you people over here, it might be very useful for you. So let me just see this part. Okay, यहाँ पे in this part you have this comma, right? These 2 commas, and then there is this thing between those 2 commas, correct? So the thing between these two commas is something called as the modifier. A modifier is nothing but an extra part of the information. Even if you leave that information out, you would still be able to understand the passage meaning exactly the way it was intended to. So don't get confused about what this part is. Just understand from this sentence, from the fourth sentence, that yes, there were 101 bronze skeletons, and out of that sample, okay, 7 were tested as positive. Okay. Now obviously here you can see that we are talking about something relating to the samples. Yes. So definitely, where else have we seen that? Okay. We have seen that in 2. So there should be some link between 4 and 2. Maybe a direct link, maybe an indirect link. Okay. But what is this whole question or whole statement talking about? It's talking about a study of fragments, correct? So the more important part over here is the study of fragments and then the samples. So which other statement talks about study of fragments or study of the disease? 1, correct? So the next statement is going to become 1. So we have 5, 4, 1, yes, and after that obviously we are going to come to 2 and tell that there's an oldest sample which came from Southeast Russia, which was 5,000 years ago, and then the conclusion statement would be 3. Yes, that all these migrations and all, obviously here also he has already mentioned that these migrations here in this last part, so all these migrations and all are coming to this point, right? So our total answer would be 5, 4, 1, 2 and 3. Alright, so this is another question from CAT 2017. Here he says that this visual turn, okay, boss, let me stop you right there. Which visual turn? कौन सा ऐसा visual turn है? Which visual turn is this? Okay, so this visual turn in social media has merely accentuated this announcing instinct of ours. So announcing instinct is that we want to announce everything that we do, enabling us with easy to create, easy to share, easy to store and easy to consume platforms, gadgets and apps. Okay, fair enough. There's absolutely nothing new about us framing the vision of who we are or what we want visually or otherwise in our Facebook page, for example. So here he's given us an example, guys. So what is the rule that he's giving this example for? Let's check that. So obviously this part won't be our first statement because of this visual turn. Okay, so obviously maybe something was there before and then he's talking about this visual turn, so not an opening statement. And here he's saying that this is an example kind of thing, like for example our Facebook page. That means there's something else also he's talked about, right? So obviously this also won't be our opening statement. Here, turning the pages of most family albums which belong to a period well before the digital dissemination. Oh my god, nice. So here we can see that the rule that we discussed, chronology, we can use. Okay, very nice part. Here, let's say that first there was something that was physical, like a album, family album. Now it has become digital, like our Facebook, right? So are you able to make that link over here? So there's a good chance that 3 and 2 are related, but let's see. So turning the pages of most family albums which belong to a period well before the digital dissemination of self-created, self-curated movements and images would reconfirm the basic instinct of documenting our presence in particular space or significant occasion or with others who matter. One more thing this sentence is telling me about is the instinct that has been talked about in statement 1. So 3 now answers 2 questions, one of statement 2 and one of statement 1. So this could be a potential opening statement. Let's see, because this is generic enough. Next, we are empowered to book our faces and act as celebrities within the confinement of our respective friends list. Again, the moment here he gives friends list, I know this is not going to be our first statement, because we are starting with something physical, moving to something digital. In digital, we are giving the example of FB, then comes friends list. No. Yes, agar FB nahi hota, if FB wasn't there, friends list would have not come at all. No? And communicate our activities, championship and locations with minimal clicks and touches. Fair enough. What is unprecedented is not the desire to put out news feeds related to the self, but the ease with which this broadcast operation can now be executed. Okay, so this seems like a good conclusion statement. Okay, so he's saying that, okay, that even before we used to check out our digital albums, we used to capture things, we used to keep them, we used to share it with people. But now what happened? Now we are able to do that on a digital front, on Facebook and all. Okay, and this visual turn that has come in social media, it's not anything that's new, but it's just increasing, accentuating our announcing instinct. Okay, which is making us easy by giving us access to easy to create, easy to share, easy to store, all those kind of apps. Okay, and then he's coming that now we are empowered. No, that means now we have the power. Because of what? Because of all these easy to create, easy to share, easy to store and easy to consume platforms. Now we are empowered to do some things. Okay, we are empowered to do what? Act like celebrities within the confinements of whom? Our respective friends list. That means in our circle we are celebrities. Okay, that dialogue is there, no? Kabhi kabhi to lagta hai apunich bhagwan hai, that thing. Okay, and communicate our activities and championship with locations with minimal clicks and touches. Fair enough. So he's saying that, okay, now before we used to do this, now we do this, but what is new is something else. Are you getting how the story is being framed? So by that logic, definitely my opening sentence, guys, is 3. Okay. After 3, I think I should be moving to 2. Alright. Because this is about digital and this is the first time he's mentioning, sorry, this is about physical and this is the first time he's mentioning digital. And then about 1. Okay. Because for me, 1 and 4 are a pair. 1 is giving us all the empowerment methods and 4 is telling that we are now empowered. Okay, and obviously 5 is my conclusion statement. So the right answer will be 3, 2, 1, 4 and 5. Yes, I hope this is clear to all of you guys. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. Alright, so in this question, we can see that the implications of retelling Indian stories hence takes on a new meaning in a modern India. Yeah, the first clue that I'm going to get from this statement is very simple. He's saying hence takes on a new meaning in modern India. That means something happened before and hence something is happening now. So one thing I can tell directly is this won't be my opening statement. The stories we tell reflect the world around us. Achha, very nice, very cute, very small, and it's so general. This is the most general statement that we have seen so far. So maybe this is the opening sentence, we don't know yet. Okay. We cannot help but retell the stories that we value. After all, they are never quite right for us in our time. Okay. We cannot help but retell the stories. So obviously after you tell, you will retell. So this is definitely happening after 2. Okay. They're quite not right for us in our time. Okay. Oh, here this is more nice. This is much nicer. We have and even if we manage to get them quite right. Okay, so can we definitely see that 3 and 4, yes, are somehow tied together. That's something that we tell, okay, the stories when we retell, we cannot help but retell the stories that we value, right? So the stories that have value, we want to retell. After all, they're never quite right for us in our time. So in our time, they're not quite right. But so even if we manage to get them quite right, they're only right for us. Other people living around us will have different reasons for telling similar stories. So definitely one combination that I can find Okay, this I can just lock it up right here, that 3 and 4 are together. Okay, ban gayi jodi. Next, as soon as we capture a story, the world we were trying to capture has changed. Fair enough, fair enough. So obviously this means that once a story has been told, the world we are trying to capture, something has already changed. So one thing I can definitely tell is that this happens before retelling, right? Definitely this happens before retelling, correct? So now for me the most general statement that we have assumed is clearly 2. Yes. Every other statement is coming after the story has been retold except what? 5. So we can go with 2 and 5 together. Yes. And then we have logged in 3 and 4, and we have seen that because of these words, hence looks like, obviously retelling also because of these 3 words, hence, and this statement 1 looks like a conclusion. Correct? So the right answer will be 2, 5, 3, 4 and 1. Where 3 and 4 are a pair, 1 is our conclusion, and 2 and 5 are the starting statements. Okay? Okay. So now another question over here. What do we see? Before plants can take life from atmosphere. Okay, where's the pen on this? Yeah. So before plants can take life from atmosphere, nitrogen must undergo transformations similar to the ones that food undergoes in our digestive machinery. Okay, so some kind of a comparison is made here. So clearly not the first statement, because we need to know why this comparison is made, right? Yes. In its aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble, unusable, and in need of a transformation. Oh, okay, fair enough. So we need a transformation, correct? Yes. And that is why we are giving that transformation here. So we can clearly see from here that in 2 we need a transformation, and in 1 we have that transformation. Don't form the links yet. Let's read through the other statements as well and then see what are the links. Okay. Now here again he talks about lightning starts a series of chemical reactions that need to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it to nourish our earth. Okay. Now here also he is talking about nitrogen. So far it looks like, nitrogen is the hero of our story. Although I would actually prefer it to be oxygen, but okay, it's not there, so what can we do? Alright. Here again, nitrogen, an essential food for plants, is an abundant resource with about 22 million tons of it floating over each square mile of earth. Wow, this looks very general. Okay, but we don't know if this really is the most general thing or not. Okay, so let's read up. But so far as nitrogen is considered as a hero, this looks as very general. Okay, 5th one. One of the most dramatic examples of nature of ill wind that blows goodness is lightning. So something bad that does something good is lightning. So because of lightning, everything else happens, right? Yes. Now very clearly we can see that lightning is something that is required by nitrogen. In statement 3 we get to see that, correct? That we need lightning for nitrogen and we need nitrogen to transform to get the food. So that is the kind of storytelling that I'm aiming to cultivate in you guys. Okay. So now very clearly this is the most general statement. Yes. From this we are going into we are going into the details of finding things that are more specific about what are the examples of ill winds that blow goodness. So one example is lightning. So let's see what does lightning really do. Okay, then we can see that lightning starts the chemical reactions, correct? So 5 should be the starting statement. Then comes 3. Yes. And what happens in 3? Lightning starts the chemical reactions that are needed to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it to nourish our earth. Fine, fair enough. But how does it nourish our earth? Or why does it nourish our earth? Because nitrogen is an essential food for plants, right? Yes. So the link would be like this. After 3, we'll get our 4. Next, what did we see? Obviously, 2 has the transformation. Sorry, 2 says we need some transformation and 1 has the transformation, right? So now we can see that the link would be 2 and 1. So the right answer would be 5, 3, 4, 2 and 1. Okay, guys? Okay, guys. So let's look at this question again. Now, what's going on in this question? Basically, here he says that this huge implication for the healthcare system. Which huge implication? I'm still not clear about that. So maybe he'll talk about this a little later, right? So this huge implications for the healthcare system as it operates today, where depleted resources and time lead to patients rotating in and out of the doctor's office, oftentimes receiving minimal care or concern, what's referred to commonly as the bedside manner from doctors. Okay, so this statement is talking to me about what? It's talking to me about some kind of medical, practitioners involvement in patient care, right? I'm just going to write PT care, in patient care. Okay, this does not sound very generic. Obviously, I don't know what this is. Okay, so what is he talking about? So we were just gonna leave out. Okay, so this is not our opening statement. The placebo effect is when an individual's medical condition or pain shows signs of improvement based on fake intervention that has been presented to them as a real one and used to be regularly dismissed by researchers as a psychological effect. So what used to be regularly dismissed? The placebo effect used to be regularly dismissed, correct? Yes. So we are talking about placebo effect here. Fair enough. This looks like a general statement. That's okay. Now what about here? The placebo effect. Oh, again the placebo effect. Okay, so I think we kind of know now who is the hero of the story, but let's not jump to conclusions. So the placebo effect is not solely based on believing in treatment, however, as the clinical setting in which the treatments are administered and is also paramount. Fair enough, yeah. Now we understand that, okay, the placebo effect has two components. One, the belief, and second one is where those medical conditions are being met for that belief to be conducive. And where did we talk about medical conditions? I think we spoke about medical conditions all the way here in statement number 1, correct? So there could be a possible link between 3 and 1. Now here, that the mind has the power to trigger biochemical changes. Okay, why that the mind? Again, this is a little bit of a question mark for us. So that the mind has the power to trigger biochemical changes because the individual believes that a given drug or intervention will be effective, could empower chronic patients through the notion of body's capacity for self-healing. Fair enough. So here he is talking about something that is helping us in healing ourselves. Whom? The chronic patients, so long-term patients. Okay. Placebo effects again. Wow. So definitely placebo effects is the hero of the story. Placebo effects are now studied not just as foils for the real interventions, but as potential portal into self-healing powers. Very nice. So what I can definitely understand is that yes, since 2 is the most general statement, we'll start off with 2. Okay. Over here in 2, what is he saying? We used to dismiss them continuously. We used to, just throw them away. And now what's he saying in 5? He's saying they're now studied not just as foils for real interventions, but as a potential portal into the self-healing power. So before we used to think that, okay, this is a fake intervention which is given over here. Yes, that this is a fake intervention, and okay, this is just studied so that I understand something about how that person is treating. Okay, maybe his psychology is helping him. But now what are we doing? We are actually looking at self-healing powers of the body. We are not just looking at the psychology of the person, we are also looking at the self-healing powers of the body. So definitely I can place 5 along with my 2. What else? Now over here, this 4, that the mind has the power to trigger biochemical changes. Okay, and it will effectively empower the patients to notion of our body self healing. So I can see that self-healing is being talked about again. So that's kind of a link that we have. So definitely it's going to be 2, 5, 4. Right? Now, clearly I can see that in 3, we are talking about it's not solely based on believing in treatment, but clinical settings are also necessary. So only after I tell you that something is necessary, will I elaborate about that thing, right? So in 3, I am telling you that clinical settings are necessary. Yes. And then in 1, I am telling you what is the necessity of it, or what is the implication that it has for the entire process that we have looked at. So the right answer should be 2, 5, 4, 3 and 1. Alright guys, so get up for the last question of the evening, guys. So what is being talked about in this particular question? First of all, he tells us that Johnson, okay, who is this Johnson? We don't know, but okay, whoever that is, treated English very practically as a living language with many different shades of meaning, and adopted his definitions on the principle of English common law, okay, according to a precedent. Okay, fair enough. So this definitely tells me that this is not going to be my first statement, because he's adopted something according to somewhere else, right? Yes. Masking a profound inner torment, okay, Johnson found solace in compiling the words of a language that was, in its coarse complexity and comprehensive genius, the precise analogue of his character. So basically, what is it? Here, masking. So he was, controlling the inner hatred, inner feelings, and Johnson found peace in compiling the words of a language which, in its coarse complexity is like rough complexity, very, very, something almost like it's very rough to figure out what it is, okay, which was just like his character, precise analogue of his character. Now, Samuel Johnson was a pioneer. Okay, now we understand that his full name is Samuel Johnson. Okay, obviously you will meet someone first and then give them a nickname, no? So I can definitely say that 3 will definitely come before 1 and 2. I don't know if there will be anything in between, or if they will be, together, but definitely 3 will come before 1 and 2. So Samuel Johnson was a pioneer who raised common sense to heights of genius, and a man of robust popular instincts whose watchwords were clarity, precision and simplicity. So this guy, I'm talking about some particular person, okay, Samuel Johnson, and I'm telling something about him. Now in 4th one, we see that the 18th century English reader in the new world of global trade and global warfare needed a dictionary with authoritative acts of definition of words of a language that was becoming seeded throughout the first British Empire by a vigorous and practical champion. Okay, who is this practical champion? Samuel Johnson. So obviously now we understand the link a little better, that in the 18th century English readers, they needed some kind of a dictionary, okay, and who better to create this entire dictionary than our Johnson Bhaiya, Samuel Johnson Bhaiya, right? So 4 and 3 will definitely be together, and clearly 1 and 2 are going together. Yes. So now we have to see whether it will be 4, 3, 1, 2, or will it be 4 3 something then 1 2, or will it be something 4 3 1 2? The only possibility for this is that this statement should be more general than 4. The Johnson, the moment I see the Johnson, I'm definitely not I'm not inclined towards putting 5 as my starting statement. Okay. The Johnson who challenged Bishop Berkeley's solipsist theory of the non-existence of matter by kicking a large stone. He said, I'll refute this. Okay. Is the same Johnson for whom language must have a daily practical use. So, okay, now we understand something more clearly, that definitely 4 and 3, okay, they're together, but after 3, okay, after I've introduced about Johnson, Samuel Johnson, I can say that this was the guy who actually made claims to refute the solipsist theory of the non-existence of matter. Okay, and for him, language should have a very practical use. And guys, did we see practicality or anything anywhere else? Obviously, we saw that over here, right? In statement 1. So clearly, I can say that my 4 and 3 are going together, and then I have 5 coming. The 5 is being linked with 1, and my 1 is being linked with 2. So clearly the answer should be 4, 3, 5, 1 and 2. Alright guys, so these were all the questions that we've had in ParaJumbles in CAT 2017, both slot 1 and slot 2 together. Now, is this enough for your CAT prep? Well, for the concepts and preparation, there's two different things. You've learned all the concepts, you've practiced 8 questions with me in the last 1 hour. But that's not enough. This will boost your score from 80 to 95 definitely. But what I would need you to do is take good level of mocks, okay? Analyze those mocks again, and if you have any doubts, you can feel free to join us on our Instagram and just put down your doubts about this topic in the comments, so that we respond back to your doubts promptly and help you through your CAT dream. This was your VARC mentor, Prady from Apex CAT Coaching, signing off. Subscribe to Apex CAT Coaching so that you get all the resources about VARC, LRDI and Quant, and all the information that you require for an MBA college at one single place. Bye.